Now, Elon Musk. Elon Musk is an extraordinary bloke. He says on one hand that artificial intelligence could be the end of humanity, and then starts using his companies, indeed setting up new ones, to make artificial intelligence become the end of humanity. He started this company called Neuralink to connect the human brain to computers. And he has this SpaceX operation, which is launching rockets, taking up satellites to beam Wi-Fi and 5G at the planet, which is absolutely essential, 5G or higher, for this smart grid AI control system, global control system, to work, to be activated, to be possible. So he's either a very bewildered gentleman or he's having you on. And the more that I observe the guy, the latter would appear to be the case. Because, you see, there's so many of these people, these famous Silicon Valley people, Musk and Zuckerberg and Bezos, Gates, who appear to be the big men of their companies, when actually they're just front men for other forces in the shadows that are really not only controlling those companies, but from a central point, controlling all of them. So Musk keeps making decisions. Of course, he's into this whole area of electric cars, which are designed to become and are becoming faster and faster driverless cars, which is all part of the smart grid. So Musk is, when I observe him, he looks to me like a little boy in short trousers, basically. And whenever his companies get into big financial trouble, the money suddenly appears to sort it all out. And that is a big red flag and red flashing lights whenever that happens. Anyway, this is the story. SpaceX, this Musk company, launched its Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station to deliver 60 Starlink satellites into orbit Monday morning. This was the fourth mission to be completed by the rocket, and the first time it has had a reused nose cone attached from or to the front tip. The satellites successfully deployed from Falcon 9 about an hour after leaving the ground at an altitude of 174 miles above the Earth. SpaceX shared the mission in a live video, which viewers from around the world were able to tune in and watch. The firm, founded in 2002, is on a mission to develop a low-latency broadband internet system to meet the needs of consumers across the globe, and its aims to give US consumers internet access in 2020. Quote, enabled by a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites, Starlink will provide fast, reliable internet to populations with little or no connectivity, including those in rural communities and places where existing services are too expensive or unreliable. Falcon took off from the launch pad at 9:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and released the payload into orbit and made a successful landing on the drone ship dubbed Of Course I Still Love You. Oh, work that one out. Anyway, yeah, Of Course I Still Love You. I love you so much that I'm going to tell you that this is about connectivity for people in rural areas when, as I've been pointing out now for so many years in the books and the talks, this is about making sure that not a single inch of planet Earth is not covered by Wi-Fi, 5G eventually, and thus able to be controlled by the smart grid. which has the ambition of connecting the grid, the cloud, to the human brain and artificial intelligence, which his company is involved with, connecting the brain to computers. The man is an utter fraud and needs to be called out. I would love to debate this guy on live television. I would love it. And another story related, very related, from the last few days: Wi-Fi, 5G, and EMF, electromagnetic field pollution, can cause psychiatric effects in humans, plus spontaneous abortions, infertility, and cellular DNA damage. Something else I've been banging on about for such a long time. Because the human body is in its base form, waveform information, think Wi-Fi, a radiation field, an electromagnetic field, a waveform field. Other waveform radiation fields impact upon that field. And from that field comes not just physical health, but psychological health. If the human field is in balance and the communication systems of the body are in balance, then we are in a state of physical, quote physical, and psychological balance. The opposite, of course, is the case when our body fields and systems, communication systems, are in imbalance, which is what happens when we are bombarded by technologically generated radiation. And we should not for a second underestimate. I mean, I see, quite right, people saying this is going to have a terrible effect on human health. Absolutely, for reasons I've just described. But let's not forget for a second its impact on psychological health. How does the brain process information? Electrically, electromagnetically. Anything that impacts upon that communication impacts upon people's perceptual and psychological state. And what this smart grid is really about, at its core, though there are many other benefits for these insane people, is it's targeting a situation where they can implant information collectively into the human brain, eventually through a connection to AI, which will become the human mind, but also in the interim by projecting frequencies containing information into the human brain within the frequency band of human brain activity, which the brain will then decode into what the person thinks are their own thoughts and their own responses and their own emotional reactions. And I'm talking in future tense here, but I'm talking in, if you like, future tense on the basis of where they want it to lead. It's already happening. And we are seeing the psychological effects. Anyway, I've said all that even before I get into the story, which says this: are you aware of just how much electromagnetic pollution is impacting your body on a daily basis? The problem isn't just wireless internet. It's also fifth generation mobile telecommunications technology, also known as 5G, as well as every other source of electromagnetic frequencies that exist all around us. And it's an absolute tidal wave compared with what it used to be, even when I was a kid, before all this started. A review published in the peer-reviewed journal Environmental Research draws attention to the many threats of Wi-Fi in terms of human health, and they're pretty serious. In addition to spurring the death of healthy cells and damaging human DNA, Wi-Fi signals can lead to psychiatric damage in those who are persistently opposed to them. Think depression, difficulty thinking clearly, mood swings, and other behavioral abnormalities. And this is before 5G gets massively underway. Neuropsychiatric damage is a common adverse effect of wireless exposure, and it could explain why many people in the modern age suffer from chemical imbalances in the brain that negatively impact their ability to function consistently. Now, as I've been saying over the years, the human body is an information field, a waveform information field, and we decode that field into a holographic form which we perceive as physical and experience as physical. And that information, some of that information in a waveform state, when it's decoded into a holographic state, manifests as chemical. And so mainstream medicine looks at the chemical state and chemical reactions within the body and prescribes other chemicals called drugs to respond to it. What they don't realize, because most of them are never told, and at the core they're not telling anyway, who do know, is that this chemical imbalance is a decoded expression of waveform frequency imbalance. And so chemical imbalance in the body, the hologram, is an expression of waveform imbalance, and waveform imbalance is brought about by all this technologically generated radiation. One of the studies this article says included in this review suggests that Wi-Fi exposure during pregnancy could cause impaired neurodevelopment in unborn babies. Well, of course it will, because it's impacting upon the baby's waveform field even as it forms. And thus, what it forms into is going to reflect that imbalance. Wi-Fi is associated with the increased, it's a long word, chlorinesterases, whatever, and changes in transmission of various chemicals, etc. Decreased learning, special learning, and a greatly lowered ability to distinguish familiar from novel objects. In other words, it's scrambling their minds. And you know, why has suicide among young people who are so attached constantly to smartphones, etc., why has suicide in young people gone through the roof in the same period of the smart era? Because those kids, all kids that are attached to this this smart addiction, are being bombarded by the frequencies that are coming off those phones. And the brain becomes addicted to those frequencies. And this is why when they put the phone down, having been on it forever, they pick it up again immediately. The addiction is the brain's frequency addiction to what's coming off those phones. Now, here's a good story in relation to that, which kind of just confirms the effect I'm talking about. Mother who put her 5 children on a 30-day tech detox without any TV or iPads, says it dramatically improved her daughter's reading and shares her tips for how you can do the same. A mother has gone viral after... How do you go viral? A mother has gone viral after revealing the benefits of putting her children on a tech ban. Blogger Molly DeFrank from California is a mother and foster mother to 5 children under 10 and took to Facebook last week to reveal how she removed all screen time from her children's lives in a post which quickly went viral. Taking a picture of all her children snuggled up in bed with their faces buried in books, it was a far cry from the modern phenomenon of children with their faces glued to a phone, iPad, TV or computer screen. Sharing the post online, Molly wrote, "We did not stage this photo. Months ago, we removed screen time for my kids. Why? Because my precious babies were acting like demogorgons. And Mama won't play," she said. And the post resonated with a lot of parents, quickly racking up 8,000 shares, comments, and likes, revealing that her daughter had progressed 5 reading levels since the ban. Molly explained, "We'd only allowed an hour a day, but still the screens apparently muted their creativity, causing grumpiness, fighting, and whining. I'm not into it. So we pulled the plug, literally. They protested for a hot minute, and then we all moved on. I could not believe how easy it was. Seriously, it was like I had my kids back." And what is happening is our kids are being taken from us in so many ways. This is the subject of my public video cast this week. Taken from us in so many ways, and one major way is this smartphone phenomenon. So good on that mother. You know, people talk about love. I love my kids. And they think loving your kids is giving them everything they want. That's not loving your kids. Loving your kids is doing what you believe to be right for them and what you can see is right for them. Like this mother. Loving your kids is not having them say, "Thank you, Mum, thank you, Dad, for giving me everything I want." Love is doing things that maybe they don't want and will get you things like, "How can you do that to me? You don't love me," ironically. But with the passage of what we call time, they then see and look back and say, "Thanks for doing that, because I see what it's done to others, which it's not done to me because of what you did." "Oh, I want a smartphone." "Okay, we'll get you a smartphone." "Well, how about..." "Well, actually, no, because I'm not going to play my part in having your brain rewired." That's love.